Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold up, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody, let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in great spirits. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right? Feels like it should be a Monday. I don't know why. But nonetheless, hopefully you guys are doing well out there. Hopefully this show finds you in a happy mood. But, you know, as much as I keep thinking that we're done, that we're kind of going to wait for more developing information as far as the police regarding to this case, it just seems like as soon as I think I'm done, you know, as soon as I think I'm out, they keep dragging me back in. And there is more information that's just dropped. And from last night, woke up this morning, you know, doing my thing, looking things up, seeing what I was going to talk to you guys about this morning. And there's more information. There's new details that are absolutely shocking and will make more people scratch their heads, not shake, maybe shake their heads too, but scratch their heads in trying to figure out why. How did this man not know anything? How did he not catch these three men in the backyard? This is insane, y'all. Absolutely in freaking sane. So we got to get into this conversation. We got a lot to talk about. There's a bunch of other videos that we got to talk about. Not only are we getting some bombshell information, in my personal opinion, shocking bombshell information from a family member, okay, of one of the three that passed away in the backyard, but we also have neighbors coming out and talking, and they're all echoing the same thing. Nothing's making any sense. Obviously, we all know this, but now we're knowing and hearing more details from neighbors as well now about Jordan and how he conducts himself, etc., in this neighborhood. So this is very interesting stuff. We got to take a look at this, most definitely. So do me a favor, hit that like button down below, crush it, make it scream out your name, send it past 300 likes as you start to file in, all right? Hit that reaction button if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on any of my other platforms where I'm simulcasting, please be sure to hit that reaction button or hit that like button, whatever, okay? Of course, hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, hit that follow button on my Facebook page. Again, hit that follow button on my Facebook page. That'd be greatly appreciated. All right? Of course, follow me on all my social medias, The Pascal Show, one word. Please and thank you. Please don't forget, if you want to support the channel even more, just like what Mora just did, please, by all means, become a member by simply hitting that join button down below if you're watching on watching on YouTube. Of course, if you're watching anywhere else and you just want to support the channel, by all means, follow me or support me on Patreon, patreon.com/The Pascal Show. Or you can go and check out pascalmerch.com. I got some really great merch. Go check it out. Trust me, I'm sure you're going to find something you'll like. All right. Let us get into this. Good morning to every single last one of y'all. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really does mean a lot. For those of y'all who are coming in, for those of y'all who are watching right now, getting into the conversation, please do me a favor. Please comment in the comment section or in the family chat right now. Let me know where you are watching this show from. I saw some people going, hey, you know, good morning from such and such, you know, all that. Somebody Lulu just said, afternoon from Dublin, Ireland. Thank you. Top of the morning to you. I appreciate it. Okay. Thank you so much. But comment. Let me know where you are watching this show from. That'll be greatly appreciated. Okay. And maybe I'll give you guys some shout outs. Okay. Arizona, couple from Arizona, Florida, Debbie. All right. Miss Quain, Nebraska. Wow. Thank you. Chicago, Mississippi, Atlanta. Tennessee, New Jersey, Boston, Augusta. Okay, that's an old song. Anyway, I appreciate you guys all coming in all the way from Canada. A lot of people. Like I said, international love. I love it. I love that. I love that. Yes. International love. Okay. I love it. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Maryland, Brooklyn, the Caribbean, UK, Maryland, England, South Carolina, South Africa, Central Missouri, worldwide. Haha. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, got to do that pit bull worldwide. Haha. Why does he always do that? The haha. Another story, another conversation we're going to have about Pitbull someday. Okay. But thank you guys so much for being here. It really does mean a lot. You guys are awesome. Okay. Man, Kansas City, North Dakota, Baltimore, Alaska. Shoot. Yeah, worldwide. Indeed. I appreciate you guys for being here and having the conversation with me. Okay. We got to get into this. Okay. Now, you guys already know, because obviously you guys are not, you guys all know about the story about this situation. 3 men were found passed away in the backyard of their friend's home that he was currently renting, because now he's not there anymore. You guys already know that part. There's been a lot of speculation, a lot of questions, and a lot of very angry and upset individuals trying to find out, family members and extended family members wanting to find out what actually happened here. This has turned into an international story. As you guys come in, chiming in on your state, your country, wherever you are coming in from, watching this show, it really means the world, not only just, to little old me, but the families, the 3 families that are all trying to find out what actually happened here, right? This has now reached out to so many people, and the speculations and the theories, the tinfoil hats are being worn and all that, all because everyone wants to know what happened to these 3 men. The only people, not just one person, the only people that actually know what actually happened here are mystery guy number 5, Alex Lee, and Jordan Willis. We unfortunately have to put in the 5th guy because it is true. He's the only surviving party goer. All right. He's the only surviving Chiefs fan that left that house, aside from Jordan, alive. So we have to keep that in the back of our minds. We have to make sure that we know and find out exactly what happened, because between those 2 guys, there's a story. There's the truth. Okay. And I'm not sitting here saying that the 5th guy is lying, or anything of that sort, because we haven't heard really much from the 5th guy at all, from Alex Lee. We haven't heard much at all, except for one thing where he said he left. He was not the last person to see them alive. They were watching Jeopardy. He was leaving around midnight. When he left, they were watching Jeopardy and they were still alive. That's all he said so far. But now we've heard that he has quite the rap sheet. So it does make you wonder, and a lot of it has to do, all of it actually has to do with party favors, if you catch my drift. So of course, people are out here scratching their heads even more, going, what the hell happened here? What's going on? But now we have some more information. That's a bombshell just dropped last night. In my personal opinion, a bombshell dropped last night. Ricky Johnson's half-brother, Jonathan Price, went on to Cuomo. Okay, he had an interview before on, I think it was like Fox and Friends or Fox, whatever, on Fox News. He put in his 2 cents. I did a video about that. Go check it out when you get a chance, okay? I have a whole playlist now, so you guys can go and check all this stuff out to your heart's content. But he had an interview, and he put in his 2 cents, and he said, hey, none of this is mathed out right. none of what Jordan has said is making any sense and is frustrating the hell out of me. And he needs to step forward and tell the honest truth. And of course, he gets choked up. He's talking about his brother and how amazing his brother actually was. And may those three men rest in peace, because from what I understand, these were some really good guys that were just innocently watching a game, having a great time, and now they're gone. But now he went on to Cuomo and he said something that just blew my mind. As soon as I saw this, I was like, why is this not headlines? Why is this not a headline right now? And I'm going to explain to you why in just a second. It says right here, brother, one of the three Chiefs fans that was found gone, all right, in the house of Jordan's house, okay, he's claiming that one of the guys, and he's very specific about who it is. You see it in the title above or down below, wherever you're watching the show, that person was found sitting up in a lawn chair in the backyard on the patio. So you're telling me that you didn't see no deceased man? Forget the fact if he was living, breathing, or if he was gone. You didn't see not one guy, strange guy, sitting up in a lawn chair in your backyard? You didn't see that? Not at all? Like, it's another thing. It's another thing if you got somebody laying on the ground and maybe there's a fresh coat of snow on the ground. So you might go, oh, I think that's just maybe you have good eyesight. Maybe you don't, right? Maybe you have your contacts in, maybe you have your glasses on, or not. You can sit there and go, oh, maybe that's just maybe the wind piled up a bunch of leaves in that area, wherever it may be, whatever, right? Sure, we can give you a little bit of wiggle room if the body was found on the ground. But this body was sitting up in a lawn chair. Make that make sense. You're telling me you're not looking at the backyard and seeing a body, a man sitting back there? But remember, this guy never looked outside, not once. He didn't want to see what nature was doing. If nature was naturing, he didn't want to make sure that, the world was still in one piece. Not once did this guy look out the window, nor in his front yard or in his backyard. Yet this man, David to be exact, was sitting in a lawn chair on the patio. Don't worry, we're going to go back into that. We're going to, I'm going to show you guys the photo again so we could take a trip down memory lane, because it's absolute BS in my personal opinion, not the part that where his body was found or how his body was found, but the fact that Jordan is sitting here going, I didn't know. I was asleep for 48 hours. In fact, I was running in and out. I was running errands the entire time. No, I did this, and this. I saw them leave. I said goodbye to them. I was asleep when they left. They came back in when I was passed out. All the BS that's coming out of this man's mouth is not making this man look any better. It's making things worse for him. Okay. And now the fact that we find out this piece of information, I say poop. That's all I can say. I poop on that BS. Okay. I don't know why I said it like that, but just roll with me. Okay. So let's take a look at this article really, really quick. Of course, we already know one of the brothers has spoken out. All right. But he says, he has demanded investigators to tell the grieving families how they had passed. David Harrington, of course, Ricky Johnson, and Clayton were found in the backyard of Jordan Willis's the backyard of Jordan Willis's home. Okay. They have not made any arrests, and medical examiners have yet to reveal the cause of demise, with toxicology reports expected to take up to 5 more weeks. I'm sorry. But Johnson's brother, Jonathan Price, said he is making discoveries of his own, including the fact that one of the men was found on the back porch away from the others. We already know that about that part, but what's interesting is what he says here. And I'm going to play the interview, of course, too, okay? But I like when we have things written on paper as well. He says, I'm not saying there was or was not a crime, but if you immediately suspect foul play, then you should have a story. You should have something to tell the families. Oh, sorry. But if you immediately expect no foul play, then you should have a family. You should have a story. You should have something to tell the families, and for no one to hear anything, that doesn't make any sense. And of course, just so you know, this is Jonathan Price right here. We're going to be hearing this from the horse's mouth in just a little bit. It's the same every day with lack of answers and the inability to truly mourn without any cause. I want to be involved more. My mother and Ricky's father want to be involved more, and we're just not getting the answers from the investigation. We already know about Willis, and he's an HIV researcher. He did research in the vid, okay, in that Rona as well. So he says, I don't care who you are. Hold on, guys. Sorry. He says, I don't care who you are or where you live. If it's snowing outside, you're looking outside to see how bad it's getting. Absolutely. It doesn't matter. If you work from home, you've got to leave sometime. And from his lawyer, we don't know if he left or not, because he started saying he left the home sporadically throughout the day. And then another one where he was home for 50 hours. Yes. And remember, this is the backyard. Again, like I said, I agree with Jonathan Price. The math ain't mathin', and the stuff that he's saying out here doesn't make any doggone sense. And don't worry, I have this photo by itself. We're going to be zooming into this mug, but you're telling me he's sitting in a patio, sitting on the patio in a lawn chair. This wasn't like he was laid up over here on the side or, underneath leaves or anything of that sort, so that maybe he just thinks it's just trash in the backyard or a very high pile of leaves. No, he was sitting in a lawn chair, y'all. Mims, make it make sense. Okay? Mims. Okay? I do not speculate on what my brother has done in the past. I just know he was a good man. He was loved. He loved his daughters to death. He absolutely had future plans to be a father to them for the rest of their lives, and he absolutely wouldn't jeopardize that. So, as a brother, I'm looking at everything. Now he says this: David was found in a lawn chair on the back porch rather than all three laying flat, which paints a picture we didn't have from the beginning. I'm just going to highlight that just really quick. Damn right. It paints a completely different picture. Remember, these guys were out there, they were hanging out, or they were at the house, they were hanging out, doing their thing, doing what men will do, all right? Drinking beers, talking about life, having a grand old time, just partying and BSing, okay? And then they go outside. How they get outside is still beyond me, but they still get outside, right? And I know theories are running amok. They go outside. David Harrington decides to sit on the patio furniture, okay? A lawn chair. So he's sitting in the lawn chair and something bad happens to him. The other two guys go out into the backyard and something bad happens to them as well. And they pass away in the lawn. But you got somebody sitting upright in a lawn chair on the patio. Like I said, it does not make any sense. So I'm going to play the interview for you guys. And of course, like what he said, this paints a completely different picture in my opinion. Not so much about what happened what happened before they passed, but it paints a different picture on what could have happened after they passed. So let's take a look at this. All right.
You can't leave what happened.
And do me a favor. hit the number 1. Let me know you guys can hear this. Okay. But I think this is absolutely crucial. And I'm so happy this interview happened because this solidifies my opinions, okay, and my theories a little bit more. And I mean, obviously, things have been solidified even more given the fact that you have Jordan Willis's lawyer out here taking interviews and just talking crazy. And his stuff is inconsistent. Okay. So the fact that he was sitting up says a lot. Let's take a look at this interview. I'm going to play the interview, hit the number 1, and let me know you guys can hear the interview. That's what I meant. Okay. Let's rock and roll.
You can't leave what happened in Kansas City alone. You can't have these families with these young guys had their whole lives in front of them, and there's just no answer. And the authorities aren't saying anything. I respect the authorities doing things the right way. But according to one of the guys involved here, his attorney, they don't expect foul play. Then why don't you give the family some answers? So these 3 men in Kansas City, you know the story. They were found frozen to death in their buddy's backyard in a way that we haven't heard before, by the way, which you're going to hear in a moment. But no gunshot, no stab wound, no ligature, meaning nobody had strangled them, apparently. Okay? So they send it out for an autopsy and toxicology. They say 8 weeks. 8 weeks. You can't bury, you can't mourn, you can't know. The families want answers. So we keep doing the story. And not to hype about it because we can only know what is shown. All right? The family knows what these guys were about and what they were doing and who this friend was to them. Let's bring in the brother of Ricky Johnson, one of the deceased. We had his father on last week. Jonathan Price is his name, and he joins us now. Jonathan, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you, Chris.
So how's the family holding up with the unknown?
It's the same every day with, the lack of answers, the inability to really truly mourn without any form of cause. It's just very difficult. I don't think I'll ever move on really I'll never move on, but especially not knowing what happened to my brother. And I'm not one of these people that tries to speculate and stuff like that, but I want ideas out there. I want to be involved more. My mother, Ricky's father, they want to be involved more, and we're just not getting answers from anybody, even the people that claim they're doing the investigation.
So is it true that you guys have been trying to get the police to tell you what's happening and that they are not in communication with you?
That's correct.
Is there any reason, is there some protocol in Kansas City I'm not aware of where they're not allowed to interface with the families of victims of crimes? Because usually that's like the main interface.
Actually, that's a really good question because, there may be protocol that this particular police department has to follow where they can't say things to the family. But at the same time, I feel that it's a little bit odd that they're not getting any transparency from police at all. That I do find to be a bit odd.
Yes, and you would think so, especially with something like this. And I'm not saying there was or was not a crime, but if you immediately suspect no foul play, then you should have a story. You should have something to tell the families. And for no one to hear anything, that doesn't make any sense. And I think that's one of the main reasons why this is getting so big.
He's not wrong. I mean, and we read that little soundbite in the article, but he's right. I mean, if there is no foul play, then there should be an explanation, right? There should be a reason to why they're saying there is no foul play. Oh, it's because of such and such. Not only just because of how they were found, how and where they were found. Because you got to remember, now this paints something different, right? This paints something different. And I can see why at face value, the police can look at that and go, okay, there's no foul play here because there's no There's no markings on their bodies to show that there was any foul play. It doesn't look like they were dragged in any kind of way. And remember, Ricky, okay, Ricky is, I mean, look at he's a pretty big guy, and I don't mean that like, you know, in any disrespectful way, but bodies are heavy, okay. And of course, if you look at like David, who was also sitting in a lawn chair, depending on what kind of lawn chair it was. If it was one of those loungy type of ones where you're just laying kind of propped up with your legs up, or if it was an actual chair, that's a huge thing too. Because no matter what, you still have to, if the bodies were moved, you still have to pick up that body and bring it over there and put it in the chair. That's a lot. Okay. And these guys are not light individuals. Okay. This guy is clearly not, 100 pounds wet, and still, no matter what, moving 100 pounds even of dead weight is a lot, right? So how they were found in the backyard like that does say something. Okay. Angela said the guy could have carried each one. Man, then he must be one strong mother lover, or he took time. But at the same time, he still put one in a chair. If that was the case, if he carried them, he literally put one in a chair. And whether he dragged them by the feet, arms, whatever, across the floor, anything of that sort, there would be some sort of proof of body being moved. So those bodies, at least in my theory, speculation, whatever, those bodies were alive. Those bodies were alive when they found, those bodies were found when they found those bodies were alive when they found their final resting place. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So they were alive, and then something happened, and they passed away exactly in those areas that those bodies were found. I don't think that this guy would be moving these bodies around and all that stuff. I just don't think so. But like I said, it paints a different story. Why would he prop one up on a chair, then drag the other two out into the backyard like that? That just doesn't make sense. All that energy, that's a lot. That's a lot, y'all. But again, that doesn't mean that it still does not put Jordan out. Okay? It doesn't make him free as a bird in this situation. Okay? Because there's no way he didn't see these guys. There's no way he didn't at least see David sitting in that lawn chair. But let me continue. All right? Cobwebs. I'm trying to get these cobwebs out my head. Okay? Woo! Let's go.
So, two things that you've said that I haven't heard before. One, you seem to know something about where these men were found that I haven't heard. What information do you have about specifically where they were in the backyard and how they were situated?
Well, I don't have firsthand knowledge, but I have heard, because as being a brother, I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at everything anybody posts, whether it's, information I feel is useful or information I don't feel is useful. But information I did find.
Well, you also know who found them,
was,
right? I mean, they were found
yeah,
by an extended family member. So you guys are in contact. So go ahead, tell the audience.
Yeah. So I believe David was found in a lawn chair on the back porch, rather than all three laying flat, which definitely paints a picture we did not have from the very beginning. And it definitely brings up some questions that you would have, especially with somebody that, I don't care who you are, where you live. If it's snowing outside, you're looking at how bad it's getting, especially if you have any type of responsibilities of leaving your house in any way, shape, or form. It doesn't matter if you work from home, you got to leave sometime.
He is absolutely mother loving right. Okay. A lot of us are people that work from home. We all have different certain type of responsibilities. If it's out, it could be just to put the trash out. Okay. To go get the mail. Man, just to go to the local supermarket to get a gallon of milk, some bread and eggs, whatever it is. We at least leave our house at least once a day. At least. I mean, yes, there's some days that you don't need to do anything because you got everything at home, but it's very rare. On a rare occasion, do you not see me, staying home for the entire day? Okay. Nah, you just don't see it. All right. So for me, it just doesn't make sense that this guy would not look outside just to see if nature's naturing, just to see how much if it snowed the night before or overnight. Okay, shoot. Even so, let's not forget, if these guys left without him knowing or as he passed out, but he maybe knew that they went outside to smoke cigarettes or to do God knows what, I'd be looking outside just to see how much of a mess they left behind, to see how many cigarette butts are on the ground, so on and so forth. Because even for myself, I don't like that stuff. I'm the type that would go and pick those things up and throw them in the trash. I'd be looking in the backyard just to see, are there any empty beer cans, bottles, whatever, any leftover paraphernalia, whatever it may be. I'd be checking it out just to see, just in case, because God forbid you have somebody come over to your crib and you have something that maybe you don't want them to see from the night before out for everyone to see. Oh, y'all were doing it like that. Oh, and it's like, no. Wait. No. It was one of the guys. I can't believe he left it here. Ricky, you're crazy. You know what I'm saying? So one thing is for sure, in at least my theory. I know you guys still have your theories. You're going to hold on to those till the, toxicology, autopsy, all that stuff comes out. These men were not dragged. So we can be very sure that these men were not dragged out there. Where their bodies were found, they were alive. And then their bodies went down. And then, of course, that bad things happened, and then they passed away in the very place that they were found at. You have allegedly David, found sitting in a lawn chair. That says a lot. Not only about the fact that he walked over to that chair and sat down, but also that there's no way on God's green earth that Jordan did not see that man sitting in that patio furniture at least throughout those 48 hours. There ain't no way he did not see that. That's just my theory. That's just my opinion. But you're telling me you're not looking out the backyard to see how life is? You're not looking out your front door and noticing that the cars are still there, wondering what's going on? Allegedly, they say that the dogs were there too. That's that's something that's just being heard through hearsay, for lack of a better term. Okay? You didn't put the dogs outside. The dogs didn't start barking and losing their minds. You're like, what is it? What is it, Pookie? You know what I'm saying? What you barking at, bro? Damn. Oh, snap. David, you're not doing that? It's a little odd to me. Don't you think? So paints a different picture for sure. Really quick, I just want to get this really quick. Maura, thank you so much. Hey, for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Welcome to the family, to all you guys, all you new family members. I really do appreciate it, Maura. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support. That really means a lot. Okay. Thank you. And of course, please don't forget, hit that like button down below. I see a gang of y'all in here, and I appreciate everybody's energy. It really does mean a lot. Please, let's get it to 1K. Let's get to 1K. Hit that like button down below. Get me to 1K. Let's get this show to 1K. All right. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. Please and thank you. All right. We in the 115s. That's amazing. Wow. 115,000. That's amazing, guys. Okay. But I do appreciate the support. So hit that subscribe, hit that like button. Let's continue on. Again, we got a lot more video, a lot more stuff we're going to be looking at here. There's neighbors that have that spoke out, video of Jordan's arrest, neighbors speaking about things. So we got things we got to get into. So let's hear the rest of what Jonathan has to say here.
And from his lawyer, we don't know if he left or not, because he started out saying that he left the home sporadically throughout the day. And then another one where he was home for 50 hours with no leaving the house
and they had
or looking
cars.
out a window.
And there were cars outside in front. And you have a feeling that an intoxicant was involved, and you know your brother. And this is not a judgment thing. I don't care how he liked to spend his free time. It's not what this is about. You believe that the answer here lies in something that your brother didn't know he was taking.
Yes, absolutely. You know, I don't even speculate on what my brother has or has not done in the past, because that wouldn't be firsthand knowledge of mine either. I just know that my brother was a good man. He loved his daughters to death. He absolutely had future plans to be a father to them for the rest of their lives, and he would not jeopardize that.
Again, that's one thing that's really true, because I know that a lot of family members have been speaking out, being like, no, he wasn't an addict. He wasn't this, and this, because I know that that's kind of how it's the stigma that's attached to certain types of party favors. Let's keep it real, right? You know, for some weird reason now, marijuana, now because of it being legal in a lot of states, it is not looked at or frowned upon as much in that regard. Because, you know, remember, I don't know about you guys, but as a kid, it's like, you know, your mama's sitting there going, oh, oh no, my son is an addict because he's smoking the pot. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all heard those stories, right? We've all seen and heard those stories in TV shows and in personal life and all that stuff as well, right? But now there's not that stigma as much attached to the Mary Jane. But the harder stuff, it's very easy for people to lean towards the side of, oh, he's a partier, you know, he a cokehead, you know, and it's like, wait, hold on. Just because he did it recreationally, if he did, does not mean that he is an addict. You know what I mean? So I think that's something I feel is important to point out. Just because if they did partake does not mean this is something that they did on the regular. This may have been the first time they ever tried it, and we're just interested in trying it. You never know. I know some of the guys are known to partake from time to time, allegedly from other interviews from loved ones and whatnot. But that doesn't mean that it's all of them. That doesn't pertain to every single last one of these guys. Just because you know somebody that partakes in a recreational party favor, okay, or, you know, does a party favor recreationally, doesn't mean that you automatically do it, you know, by association. And that's not fair either, right? That's not fair to assume somebody's lifestyle without actually hearing it from their own mouths themselves, or actually seeing them do the act all the time, right? And I think that's one of the things that people are very quick to jump on this you know, this speculation train of, oh, they were just, you know, they're all base heads. And it's like, no, not in the slightest. And I told you guys in shows before, I know people who have just tried it once and it happened to be the worst time to take something. You know, they take it and it was laced with something and they're never heard from again. They lose their lives because they just decided they wanted to experiment that one time and they are no longer here. So there's a lot of possibilities when it comes to this. Okay. So I think it's unfair for people to speculate and assume that these guys were out here just straight up fiending, when it just sounds like there were a bunch of guys just trying to have a good time. And yeah, I do think that there were party favors involved, and I do think that those party favors were laced. Question is, where did they get it from? Where did they get it from? Was it from Jordan? Was it from one of the three of the guys that passed away? Or was it from the fifth guy? Let's not forget. I was calling him Johnny number 5, but could very well be from the fifth. 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. Just to remember that. We're going to be circling back to the fifth guy here in a little bit.
So it just doesn't make any sense.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to...
So it doesn't make any sense. And he's right. None of it makes sense. And it's very frustrating. Obviously, I'm frustrated because none of the math is mathing. And the thing is, though, I really don't think that we'd be sitting here mulling over this as much. Well, I mean, I think we still would be to a certain extent, but I don't think we'd be as frustrated if we didn't have Jordan's lawyer, Paserno, out here mucking things up, okay, in the very beginning. He was quick to come out here and say all kinds of crazy stuff, but then he would go and change his story, constantly change his story, say different things all the time. That's frustrating, y'all. That's hella frustrating. It's like, okay, so then what is the actual truth, mang? Because you keep changing the doggone story, right? So let's continue on. Like I said, neighbors are speaking out. Okay. So we got something from Banfield. There's a guy, a reporter for News Nation that flew out to Kansas City to get down and do start hoofing, do the road work, right? And find out what's going on here in the neighborhood, knocking on doors and just trying to get people to talk, right? So there are some interesting things. Neighbors, not just one neighbor, neighbors speak out and put in their 2 cents about everything. So I wanted to share this with you guys. And yeah, we like I said, we got things to do. We got miles to go.
News Nation's Alex Capriello joins me live now from Kansas City. So you've been learning a lot, not only just today, but just in the last few minutes, something about the night of the discovery. Somebody witnessed something. What have you found out?
Yeah, what's interesting is we've been here all day, but when you do a lot of door knocking during the middle of the day, you don't get a lot of answered doors. People are at work. And so when we were out here setting up our live shot, we actually just had a neighbor approach us who lives right across from the house where this all went down, which is, of course, right here behind me. And he really filled in some gaps about what that night looked like when the investigators first got here. First and foremost, he said just by happenstance, he happened to be looking out the window at the time that Clayton McGeeney's fiance actually came here to snoop around for herself. Remember, she was the one who actually discovered the bodies in the first place and called 911. So from this neighbor's firsthand eyewitness report, he says he watched her actually leave the backyard, this gate right here behind me, call 911. And he said shortly after that, this whole street was flooded with cops.
And we are going to be hearing that interview after this clip. Okay, just so you guys know.
Meanwhile, he's filming the whole thing from his cell phone, from his front window, looking out, just wondering what the heck could be happening right here in his neighborhood, right across from his street. We're working on getting that video to you so that way you can show your viewers. But let me just describe it. He tells me that actually that person at the center of all this speculation, Jordan Willis, was actually handcuffed and detained right here against this brick wall of the house while police were asking questions. He said he filmed as actual investigators were searching through this entire house using flashlights to actually comb through each and every room, trying to find any other clues or evidence. Eventually, he said Willis was let go out of that handcuffs. He was taken to a car, presumably questioned more. But this was a big mystery that entire night. Nobody knew what was going on. And it wasn't until the news reports started filling in that next day that people started getting some answers. Of course, to your point, still more questions than we have actual answers, but at least we have a better idea of what that actual scene looked like that night.
Interesting. One thing, one takeaway I want to point out here is that not only did he see this neighbor and we're going to hear him speak here. And after this clip here, I just wanted to share this because there's another clip of a neighbor talking, if I'm correct, in this clip. But one thing that I do find interesting here, and a takeaway, is that police did comb through the house, according to Eyewitness report, and of course from this reporter here too, that the cops did go through the house. They did search the house. But again, you got to remember, this guy had 50 hours, 48 hours to 50 hours to clean up his act. Plenty of time to flush a toilet. Okay? I think there's like 3.5 bathrooms in this mother lover. He could have been flushing all doggone day. Plenty of time to get rid of evidence or of any type of tainted party favors. Plenty of time. But cops did go through that house. And I feel like it would be extremely lazy of 5-0 to go into a place like this where there's 3 men in the backyard gone and not go through the house. It's asinine, it's idiotic, it's stupid, for lack of a better term, for them not to go through that house and just to see if there was anything left, or just to scan the space and see if this is an actual crime scene or not. But of course, police are looking at it and they just say no foul play, and I get why. At face value, the men, one of them sitting in a chair, no puncture wounds, no markings on the body. He's just sitting in the chair, and then 2 men in the backyard gone. That's crazy, guys, right? But understandably, I could see why police at face value are looking at that and going, I don't know if this is foul play so much. Okay. But real quick, Moira, again, with another gift. Thank you so much for gifting 5 people. Welcome to the family, to 5 new people. Thank you so much. Welcome to the family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I appreciate that. Don't worry, we're continuing on. Okay. But Mayan, morning, Mayan. Thank you so much for the 2. Maybe the cops are looking for the bigger deal. That's exactly what I'm thinking too. That's exactly what I'm thinking too. That's exactly what I'm thinking too, y'all. Let me keep it a buck with y'all. Which it clearly is leaning towards, to me at least, is leaning more on this. It's veering on the side of party favors. They could be looking at this and saying, okay, we can't give everybody everything yet because we're trying to hone in on who actually was the supplier of this said chemical. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the reason why they're not saying much, because they don't want people thinking, the people that, maybe Johnny number 5, okay, maybe Alex Lee, maybe they're not wanting him to know that they're looking at him, let's just say, or whoever is the one that provided the party favor in the first place, seeing if they can trace that party favor back to a bigger person. Because you got to remember, if they took out 3 people, how many other people took that same product and lost their lives off that product? And if they can get back there and go back and get the person who actually supplied it, then that saves a lot of lives. That does. And maybe that's the turn of events as far as a positive side of things with this, is that these guys get justice, but it also gets rid of tainted party favors, gets them off the streets, so that there aren't more people getting sick out here or even passing away from taking something, a little bit of something, right? At least that's what I would think, So it is a good question. What Morning Mayan just said. Could they be tracing it all the way back to the actual supplier? Something to think about, right? Something to think about. Let's continue.
I know that you're getting that video, and that as soon as you get it, we'll try and get it on the air. But quickly, you were able to get an interview about the view out of Jordan Willis's kitchen, and there's a big sliding glass door. What'd you learn?
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people here are a little skeptical about the story that we're hearing. In specific, Jordan Willis's story, the fact that he slept through 48 hours without actually having any sort of inclination that his friends were dead outside. And so most people that I'm here in the neighborhood that I'm speaking to tell me that they just don't know Jordan. He seems to be a bit of a hermit. He doesn't come out. He doesn't really talk to neighbors. He has 2 dogs, we know, but he doesn't really do much dog walking. And so a lot of people are a little weirded out by this whole story. Here's what one neighbor told me.
Mm.
Willis did say that he didn't see his friends out, but he has a sliding glass door going right into his backyard, and it's in his kitchen, so like you have to see it. I don't know. I just feel like there's no way you didn't see your friends dead outside.
So even if he didn't contribute to their deaths, it's a little weird. He may not be telling the whole truth.
Right. I mean, people were calling him, people were knocking on the door, and he wasn't answering to anybody. So I just feel like that's odd that you wouldn't say anything.
I think it's just a matter of.
Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna roll that to that second guy here in a second, but she's right. It doesn't make any sense. You got big, huge windows. Your kitchen looks out the patio. So you're telling me you did not once look out the windows? At some point out of those 48 hours, you got to eat. You got to get at least a glass of water. You may be fasting for those 48 hours. I mean, the craziest things have come out of this guy's mouth, so I wouldn't be surprised if he sits here and says, yeah, I never went into the kitchen ever because I was fasting. Whatever, okay? I was doing that cayenne pepper fasting thing. So I had lemon juice and cayenne pepper. That's all I did. I mean, we've heard crazy already, all right? The fact that he received the text messages, but he didn't read them, right? And all the other BS. He didn't step outside. Not once. But she's right. You're telling me those big old windows are in the kitchen. You're not looking out that window? You're not taking a look at your backyard? Not once? So it doesn't make any sense. Let me roll that back just a tiny bit.
His friends out, but he has a sliding glass door going right into his backyard, and it's in his kitchen, so like you have to see it. I don't know. I just feel like there's no way you didn't see your friends dead outside.
So even if he didn't contribute to their deaths, it's a little weird. He may not be telling the whole truth.
Right. I mean, people were calling him, people were knocking on the door, and he wasn't answering to anybody. So I just feel like that's odd that you wouldn't say anything.
I think it's just a matter of time. I trust a lot of the people who are involved in investigating the case, and I'm just waiting for any answers as a community member. I think that's what we're all waiting for.
True. Wayne's World is absolutely right. Absolutely right. Of course, we're all waiting for facts. Because yes, the speculations are real. I'm even speculating, all right? But still, interesting.
And we do know now that Jordan Willis no longer lives here. This was a rental property that he lived in, but these neighbors tell me that they saw a U-Haul truck within about a week and then packing it all up and moving out. It's empty now. There is one light that stays up on the upper floor, but the neighbor here tells me that it's been on every single day since this incident happened.
Interesting. I got to roll this back a little bit. There's something that he said in the beginning of this segment that I want to play real quick.
But quickly, you were able to get an interview about the view out of Jordan Willis's kitchen, and there's a big sliding glass door. What'd you learn?
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people here are a little skeptical about the story that we're hearing. In specific, Jordan Willis's story, the fact that he slept through 48 hours without actually having any sort of inclination that his friends were dead outside. And so most people that I'm here in the neighborhood that I'm speaking to tell me that they just don't know Jordan. He seems to be a bit of a hermit. He doesn't come out. He doesn't really talk to neighbors. He has 2 dogs, we know, but he doesn't really do much dog walking. And so a lot of people are a little weirded out.
You heard that, right? He doesn't do much dog walking. Let me roll that one more time.
He doesn't really talk to neighbors. He has 2 dogs, we know, but he doesn't really do much dog walking. And so,
okay, so if he doesn't do much dog walking, for a fact he's got to use that backyard. What, he just lets those dogs dookie inside of his house? Inside of a rental? I mean, I've seen some disgusting homes in my life, okay? And I've seen how some people out here live their lives. But let's keep it a buck. Again, they're saying that they're not really seeing him walk his dogs or anything of that sort. So what? He's not opening the backyard and using that backyard? He's not going and cleaning up the mess that they leave behind in the backyard? Because I mean, that's gross too. What if you have people over and you want to be outside and all these people are just trying not to step in a landmine that your two big ass dogs leave in the backyard? You got to clean up after your dogs. Clearly you have to. That's gross if you don't. You got to. So he doesn't walk his dogs too much, so he uses the backyard. Now, if this is the situation where the fifth guy, Alex Lee, says allegedly that the dogs were there, that still doesn't math out correctly at all as well. If and only if there is that the dogs were actually there. But no matter what, you're still looking out the backyard. You're still looking at things. You're still doing you're still using your eyes and looking around and seeing your surroundings, because that's how people live. It's impossible, at least in my personal opinion, to have those big ass windows and not once look out those windows, not once. You're just looking down at the ground the entire time while you're walking around. You're just looking down. You're that engulfed in, math, vaccines, the poke, and got to save the world, that you're walking around with your head down? Make that make sense. Okay? I'm sorry. Mitochondrial. It just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry, it doesn't. It just doesn't. Okay? And yes, I said Wayne's World. Yes, I said Wayne's World. Yes. Game on, game off. Wayne's World, right? Okay. So yeah. Let me play this last part from the reporter. Okay? And do me a favor. Hopefully that made you laugh. Okay? Wayne's World. It's party time. Excellent. Woo, math. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Got to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. Okay? It just doesn't. Do me a favor. If you're enjoying the conversation, please hit that like button down below. Okay? Let's get into 1K. Dag nabbit. I could still make you guys laugh a little bit during this tragic situation. Okay? We got to have a little bit of lightness. This is still very serious, but still. Okay? If I can make you chuckle just a little bit, all right, then hit that like button down below. Let's get into 1K. Come on, guys. Come on. Okay? And of course, if you haven't done it yet, subscribe, baby. Subscribe. All right? And of course, check out pascalmerch.com. pascalmerch.com. Go check out my hoodies, my t-shirts, etc. I got this really dope Valentine's Day jogger set, tie-dye, custom made by yours truly. By these hands. Seriously, my hands are still kind of red because you guys have been buying those like crazy, which I really do appreciate it. Really do appreciate. But you guys have been buying them and they are selling like hotcakes. I do appreciate it. Okay. I also have another thing called the Funfetti, a Funfetti set. If you like that kind of stuff, go check it out. They're really comfortable. They look really great. So I pinned it to the top of the chat. Go check it out. Okay. Got some really great stuff. All right. Let me play this last piece that he said here, and then we're moving on.
It was a rental property that he lived in, but these neighbors tell me that they saw a U-Haul truck within about a week and then packing it all up and moving out. It's empty now. There is one light that stays up on the upper floor, but the neighbor here tells me that it's been on every single day since this incident happened.
Now, I thought that was interesting. So that has been on 24/7, and I'm wondering why it has been, but still, I know one of y'all will be like, it's the spirits. I don't know. Okay. I just think it's on for whatever reason.
Break in to our coverage, Alex, when you get that video of Jordan Willis being cuffed that night, if you would. I know that's a lot of logistics, but if you can, certainly let us know. We're on the air for another 28 minutes.
No pressure. No pressure, buddy. But we need you to, hop two, step, get this thing moving on. But he did actually get the interview with the other guy.
You remember I told you about Ashton Brady. He was the neighbor who lives right across from Jordan Willis, who just by happenstance looked out at the exact moment that 911 was being called. Ashton, we know now that that was Clayton's fiance that actually discovered those bodies, called 911 and then alerted the authorities. Just walk me through what you saw in that moment.
So basically, I was just going, turn off all my lights. I was getting ready for bed, locking the doors. I went to lock my front door, and I saw a woman come out of the backyard on her phone, and she looked distressed because she kept looking back towards the house, and I thought it was weird. But I just moved in, so I really didn't know much, and so I just went back to my room. 10 minutes later, I saw an ambulance drive by, and I said, "Well, that's just weird. Something's going on." Went to the front room, looked out, and I saw that there was already 3 cop cars, and there was a man detained, and the woman was talking to the other police. And basically, I kind of watched that conspire for an hour or two. The man eventually left. The police searched the house, went through the backyards and everything, and I had no idea what had happened. And the next morning, I saw the news that they had found 3 dead bodies, and I just was kind of in disbelief. I was like, wow, I watched that happen.
You know, what's interesting is somebody, Raven just said, notice the snow. And you are not wrong, Raven, because, yeah, that is a considerable amount of snow. That is a considerable amount of snow. But still, no matter what, this is somebody who was sitting up. Someone was sitting up in their chair. Also, there's snow covered. That could have happened earlier that day, overnight. I still am wondering, over the 24 hours, that snow could have fallen during that time. But at the same time, this guy's not looking out the window just to see how much the snow has fallen, just to see how much snow he might have to shovel in his driveway. He's not looking at anything. It doesn't make sense, And then, of course, yeah, sure, it could have shown the snow may have covered up drag marks and stuff like that, but the bodies will say that too. The bodies will tell us a story as well. If there were markings, they'll show proof of an actual moving of the bodies. You see what I'm saying? That would show for sure, without a shadow of a doubt. All right, but let me continue. But that's a lot of snow. That is a considerable amount of snow. But this is not something where somebody was laying on the patio floor, right? On the floor of the patio and just covered in snow. This is a guy that was sitting up in a chair, or maybe slumped over a little bit, but still, that's somebody sitting in a chair, for crying out loud. You can't miss that. You just can't miss that. You just can't.
Right, and actually we're looking at that video that you shot right there on the top left corner of your screen. So basically you're saying that's the video where you're actually looking out and you can see Jordan Willis being detained.
That's probably within the first 5 to 10 minutes. I was like, oh my goodness, something serious is going on, at least. So yeah.
So your red flags were going off in that moment, but even before that, right? Because you saw some of these victims' cars that were right here parked in front of your house, and that also kind of alerted you, right? Because that was unusual.
Yeah, we had just moved in, but that week we had never seen those cars there. And then all of a sudden, that whole weekend, there was cars parked right in front of our drive, and they never left. And they stayed there until the police came, and even after that, we found out they're deceased. Yes, those cars never left.
And that's really important as well. You see the cars. You see the cars there. So you're telling me he didn't look outside and see the cars? He didn't notice that those cars were still there? Neighbors noticed the cars were still there. Like, come on, like, one of them's right in front of the house. It's a truck just sitting there chilling right in front of the house. You're telling me he didn't see that? Like, come on, man. Come on. Like, that's just idiotic. I'm sorry. That's idiotic.
And obviously that was something that raised your suspicions at all. Tell me, I know you hadn't lived here for very long, right? But tell me at all about Jordan Willis, what you know about him. I mean, did you ever see him out and about? Was he friendly? Did he come by and talk to you ever?
Honestly, I've never seen him out. I never saw him or talked to him, so I cannot speak for that. Honestly, I do not know.
How about the fact that just something that is so strange. This case in general is bizarre, and we don't have many answers. But the fact of the matter is, 3 men were outside for 2 days on this backyard, one sitting up in a chair, two laying down on their backs, frozen to death. I mean, how do you wrap your mind around all that information?
It's a lot, honestly. I imagine it has something to do with a bad drug or something, but it's
fair.
strange that how long it occurred for people for something to notice like that. If it happened on a Sunday, that's a long time, and I feel like something should have been said, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's hard to say out loud because you don't have all the information, but the fact of the matter is 3 men are now dead. Does it feel like you're getting, or your community is getting, the answers it deserves right now? That seems to be the big issue that the families have, is it just doesn't feel like they're getting closure because they're not getting answers.
Yeah, I feel for the families and that they just want to know what really happened. And I feel like if we need to know, we need to know. I'm sure answers are going to come out, but I know a lot of people are wondering what happened around here. That's for sure.
What is the talk of the town? How are people talking about it still? Because no doubt about it, the whole world is looking at this case and talking about it. So how do you and your friends talk about it, process it, work through this whole story?
We just kind of sit down and talk about it. Sometimes we're just randomly, we'll be talking about like what could have really happened. Like how do your 3 buddies, just you not notice them for 2 days outside in the backyard? So it's really strange for me and all of our friends. It's really hard for me to say, but I feel like it had to have been just maybe an accident. I don't know. It needs more investigation though, I think.
Ashley, hang
Alex?
tight. I think Ashley Banfield has a question. Go ahead, Ashley.
I do. I don't think he can hear me with an IFB, but if he can't, pass this question on. Can you ask Ashton if he saw the bodies coming out of the house? Because we learned tonight on Chris Cuomo that the father of one of the men knew that one of the men was died or frozen in a position in a lawn chair on the back porch. And I wondered if he saw gurneys come out with 3 bodies, or if he saw something unusual in the position of the bodies that were brought out of the house.
Sure. We want to know what you saw beyond those initial things that you've shared already, in specific about the bodies coming out of this house. Were you still awake at that time? Did you witness gurneys or medical examiners actually coming out with these bodies or taking them out?
So I actually did not. After that, everyone kind of cleared out. So I didn't know what had happened. So I just went to bed. I thought it was just a misunderstanding or something between a wife and a husband, but that wasn't it at all. So I went to sleep, went to work the next day. And when I was at work, I got an email or a message from a friend, sending me the picture of the article about the dead people. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I honestly did not see an ambulance actually gurney anyone out or anything like that.
That's a very odd question to ask. I will say that's a very strange question, like to ask this eyewitness, this neighbor, oh, did you see if one of their bodies was still, contorted in this weird position as it was being, rolled out as it's being rolled out of the house? Did you see if, they had it bagged up in some weird way because he was frozen in this position, blah, blah, blah. That's an odd question to ask. It's a very odd question to ask. Nor do I think it's necessary, in my personal opinion, because it doesn't matter. What we know is what we have right now, which is one of them was found in a chair. Period, point blank. One of them was found in a chair. And again, that paints a completely, it paints a different picture, as Jonathan Price, Ricky Johnson's brother, has said. This paints a different picture here. And it gives us a possible new narrative, okay? Or it confirms some of you guys' theories out here on what could have happened here. But that is a very interesting question to ask. I mean, that last part, a bit odd. Just a bit odd, in my personal opinion. But, I guess you got to ask those questions, right?
What do you remember about the conditions during
No.
those days here in Kansas City? Obviously, these bodies were found frozen. Do you remember it being cold, freezing? Obviously, you saw this woman talking on her cell phone at night, 10 o'clock at night in the winter weather, and so that raised your alarms. But what do you remember just about the temperatures or the weather around that time?
It was cold. It was really cold. I'd gone hunting that Sunday, and we hunted a pond, and we actually had to put a pretty much an ice prop in there to make the pond open. So I mean, if that tells you anything, we could walk on the ice. That's how thick it was. So I mean, it was definitely below freezing, and not temperatures you want to just be outside hanging out in with with no clothes.
Yeah, enough to raise red flags. Ashton, thank you very much for sharing that insight with us.
Thank you.
You know, it is interesting nonetheless. I mean, you know, I'm gonna show you guys the video again and put it on mute because I want to show you guys like the video itself. It's so fast. It's very short, but you know, it still no matter what, the fact that this thing is like it doesn't matter if it was super cold outside, it still does not justify why these men are not alive right now. It still doesn't justify, oh yeah, you know, they could have definitely gone outside and just froze to the demise. That doesn't make any sense, guys. It still doesn't make sense. So it doesn't matter. Like, you know, if they went outside, you know, sober and alert, then suddenly, and then cold, froze to death, that doesn't make sense, guys. It just doesn't. Now, if it was they took something and it knocked them the F out, yes, that makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. It was cold. Those 2 weekends, blisteringly cold. The following weekend was even worse than this particular weekend where they lost their lives. It was brutal out here, for sure. But at the same time, if they were of sober mind, if they were not possibly laced or hit with something really bad, they would have gone back inside that house with the quickness. They would have smoked their cigarette. They would have done whatever they were doing in the backyard and walked themselves back inside that house. They didn't just decide, oh, it's fine. It's just a little cold. I'm just going to sit out here. That's ridiculous. Remember, one of the guys allegedly did not have a jacket on, didn't even have a coat on, nothing. So clearly he knew that he was going out there for a quick minute and was going to take his ass right back inside that house. So no, it wasn't just some random Arctic blast that came in and then they just froze. No, something happened. They passed out. And then due to the weather and whatever was going on in their bodies, as far as whatever they consumed, at least is my own theory, that's what the combination. It was like a trifecta, the perfect storm of all bad things, all at the same time. But you cannot tell me that these guys went out there, were sitting there chilling, literally, to the point where they passed away. Nah. Some Fenty was in that ish. Okay? Fenty was in that ish. Let me show you guys this video. But as you can see, look, this is one of the trucks. I'm assuming, like, because as Ashton, the neighbor from across the street, is saying, he's like, yo, one was right in front of our driveway. Another car was in front of his house. Those 2 cars that you just see in this video, those are of the guys. Two of the 3 guys' cars were still outside the house, and he didn't see any of that stuff. The renter, Jordan, he didn't see any of that stuff. Again, that's just asinine to me. It's ridiculous. There's the other car, and as you can see, it's been sitting there for a while collecting snow. And it looks like, you know, 5-0 are over there talking to Jordan. And it looks like he's like right here under this light. If you can see my mouse, looks like he is kind of like handcuffed at this moment which I'm glad they at least cuffed him for 2 seconds. But now he's free. You know, now he's somewhere hiding, trying to stay away from the public ridicule. So a couple things to take away from this video itself. Snow did fall. Snow most definitely fell over some time, okay? Over the time that these guys passed away. Now, it could have been a thing where the guys in the backyard could have been covered in snow and no one noticed that, right? But you cannot miss a grown man sitting in a lawn chair right next to the doors and the windows of this particular house on a patio, chilling. It just does not make any sense. And again, you're telling me this guy did not once look out the window just to see how much the snow fell, just to see how much. Oh, you know, am I going to need to shovel? How bad is it going to be today? And remember, they said that, or you know, Jordan has said before, according to Pascal, he said that he was in and out sporadically in his first interviews. He said he was in and out sporadically. He was very busy. He was in and out. Okay, so if that is true, you did not once look outside just to see if you needed to wear boots or what you got to wear, because like clearly you're not going to walk out here looking like you're trying to try out for a volleyball team. Okay, you're going to get layered up. It's cold. How cold is it? Let me see how cold it is. Dang, how much snow fell last night? Did snow fall overnight while I was asleep? Because I need to go get my milk and cookies so I can come back in here and figure out math and all that. But did he do that? No. That's not what he's claiming. That's ridiculous. Okay? That's ridiculous. We got more. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. Miss me with this nonsense, y'all. Miss me with this nonsense, because it's a lot. It's a whole lot of nonsense, y'all. Whole lot. So I got another one. And this has to do with talking about the fifth guy, Alex. So I wanted to bring this up a little bit. And again, like I said, we should not only be looking at Jordan. Okay? We need to look to both of them. Both Alex and Jordan. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, why? Why are you going to bring in the fifth guy? Listen, he's the last person to see, one of the last people to see these three men alive. I think it's incredibly important that we look at that we start wanting to hear what Alex Lee has to say. Because remember, he is also saying different things out here, y'all. He's saying something completely different than what Jordan is saying. That's a big problem. Now, from what we know, or from at least what I've heard so far, Alex has not changed his narrative. He has not changed his story, not once so far. Jordan has. But you cannot deny that the fact that he was one of the last people to see them alive is not important. It's extremely important. So let me bring this up again. This is another video. I'll share with you guys. Oops.
In Kansas City, days after going over there to watch the Chiefs game, the controversy just keeps growing, with family members of the three guys furious as everyone awaits the toxicology reports. The living friend, Jordan Willis, whose home they'd gone to, never contacted police, didn't really contact anyone, says he didn't know the three friends were dead, frozen in the backyard for 2 days. Yet the authorities say there were no signs of foul play. Now it turns out there was a fifth friend there that night. That guy identified as Alex Weimer, who was a childhood friend of the three men. Says he got to the home at about 7 p.m., left around midnight, when he claims the four men were still awake watching an episode of Jeopardy. Now, that contradicted statements made by Jordan Willis's attorney, who said last week he, meaning Willis, was asleep. He was asleep on the couch. The last memory he has is of leaving the front door. He doesn't know what happened with them until when the police came Tuesday night to his house. Now he's changed his statement, now claiming his client went to sleep while the friends continued to hang out.
When he would have people over his house, sometimes, as people do, they get tired. They're people who are very close to you, and then you feel comfortable going to bed and allowing them to leave whenever they want to leave.
I have to say this. I'm really happy that Paserno's not out here talking crazy recently, but I kind of miss this crazy. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But I'm really happy he got the memo, or Jordan told him, like, shut up. Just shut up, something, because he should not be out here talking at all. So I'm glad he hasn't been on anything as of late, at least from what I've seen so far. He's definitely, yes, Natasha, he is definitely tightened up. Thank God, because I'm tired of this left and right and up and down and running in circles and all this BS and all these lies that keep coming out this lawyer's mouth.
Now, the families of the three men, 38-year-old Ricky Johnson, 37-year-old David Harrington, and 36-year-old Clayton McGinney, are furious that this new revelation has led to no updates in the case.
Last time we saw them, they were leaving the house, but he didn't know that they had left, so that doesn't make much sense.
I think a lot of people know more than they're saying.
You can't tell me he didn't know those slides were back there in the backyard.
How do you not know there's 3 dead bodies in the back porch?
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Willis's family is standing with him. His father defending his son in a statement. He would never in a million years do anything. These were all good friends of his. These were all people he went to school with. He took them to a football game the day before. Now, we are still awaiting the toxicology reports, which could shed a lot of light on exactly what happened. Joining us now is Joseph Scott Morgan, who is one of the leading experts on the coroner system in the United States. He's been following this story closely. Thanks a lot for coming on the program. Appreciate it. All right, so what exactly are we going to learn from this toxicology report?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Dan. The reality is this. They're going to do what's referred to as a qualitative finding, which means they're going to identify whatever substances were in these gentlemen's systems collectively. And it's kind of referred to as a standard panel that we run at autopsy. We're looking for everything from opioids, cannabinoids, benzos, cocaine metabolite, all these other things. And of course, the big one out there that everybody's talking about, of course, is fentanyl. And those are all going to be they'll be qualified, and then they'll do a quantitative result. And that's what's taking so long at this point in time, I think, relative to the toxicological findings. They will, every drug out there, even some that you might be surprised about, has a therapeutic level. That is, those drugs that we can take and we're not going to die from them or slip into a coma. They're looking for these levels to see if they reached levels of lethality, if in fact there is anything in their collective systems. Now, my big issue with this case, Dan, is that I don't think there were any lightning strikes that day.
No.
I don't think that there's any trauma. So we can't have people that just 3 adult males, relatively healthy from what we know, they just don't spontaneously fall over dead in this close proximity to one another. So I have to think that there's some kind of agent at work here in their system. Right. My big thing here is, how carefully did they examine the scene? I hope that any kind of drinking containers, vessels, anything that were outside with those remains, that they were collected, that they are being analyzed. It's not just the bodies alone. And anything within that house. I don't know if the cops have served a search warrant on this residence to collect anything that may have been in there, because look, we have to come to an agreement that this is not normal, that this is abnormal. It's an outlier.
Right.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. This is a lot bigger of a situation because it's so mysterious. I mean, obviously, to me, it's going down a certain road. And it sounds like this particular individual here is saying the same thing as well. Like he's saying, hey, this is going down the route of there's probably something in their system that wasn't supposed to be in their system, and they passed away. In LA, you're not wrong. I mean, it's not normal, and that's what he's basically saying here too. That this is not normal. How this all has transpired, how this all has broken down is just not mathin'. The math ain't mathin', you know. And I could not agree more. It just doesn't make any bloody sense how these three men just suddenly gone. And he's right. Like I said before, you know, it's not like there's some sort of random act of God where these three men were struck by lightning all at the same time, right? It's not like that happened. These three men, as he said, relatively healthy. Three men, at least at face value, all of them passed away in this fashion. It's very, very strange. And of course, you know, toxicology report will say some things, but and the autopsy. But the other thing he said too is like, was there an actual search warrant that was conducted, or did they just search the area, saw them in the backyard, and said, "Hey, okay, it's a wrap. We're going to look around just to do our due diligence, and then we're going to keep it moving after that." That's kind of what it feels like. What happened here? They just kind of looked in the area just to make sure there wasn't anything weird at face value. But then once they saw these three men and how they were found in that fashion, that's when they're like, okay, this is a cut and dry. This is a straightforward case. All right. This is open and shut case. There's nothing to investigate. Let's move on. But I think that that's the big mistake there too, because if they're not doing their due diligence, this could also help. If it is laced-ish, this could also get that laced crap off the streets, if that's what happened here. And I think that's incredibly important as well. But that's not something that's actually being brought in here, right? Like, if they didn't conduct a proper search, then all that stuff is gone. And also at the same time, this guy's packed up his stuff. He's gone now. So that place is cleaned out. Any remnants of any type of anything, gone. But I also do think that a lot of it was gone before the cops even showed up too, that he cleaned that up. Because you got to remember, and this is the other question I've had before, but I'll say it on this show too. I'm wondering if what the fiance saw. What did Clayton McGinney's fiance see when she first walked in or broke into that house? She went in through the basement window. She went up the stairs. What did the place look like? Did it smell funny? Were there any residue of anything in the house? And I get it. That's probably not the first thing she's out here looking around for. She's looking for her fiance, her future husband. That's all she gives a damn about. But I'm wondering if she saw anything else that may have sparked up, thrown up a red flag. Oh, I saw a baggie, or I saw paraphernalia. I saw this, and this. I guess that's something I would want to hear from her as well on. And I know she's not saying much right now, understandably. I don't blame her. But I'm curious what she saw when she walked into the house. Because if she did see something, that could be a key.
And there's also no way this could be alcohol, all right? There's no way three guys all die of alcohol poisoning and all freeze in the same area. There's just no way, right?
No, yeah, you're absolutely right. Unless you're talking about something like bathtub gin, all right? We know that that's not the case, where it would be so toxic that it would take them to their knees. So the answer lies elsewhere, and that's what's so important here. And one other thing to go along with relative to the gentleman that slept for 48 hours, did he ingest something and may not have known about it because he's lost 2 days here we're talking about, if not more than that. So that's going to be key as well. I doubt that they drew blood on that guy, though.
No, they did. And I feel like if they did, I feel like this would have been a completely different conversation. And of course, yeah, I mean, it's funny how you said, You know, it's not like they were drinking homemade moonshine or something crazy like that. I mean, they were just drinking. You know, they were having beers and doing shots, I'm sure, and drinking cocktails. So it can't just be from excessive amounts of alcohol, right? It can't. So, yeah, like I said, it's just so odd, y'all. This is just so freaking odd. This whole thing. Let me roll that back just a little bit.
And may not have known about it because he's lost 2 days here, we're talking about, if not more than that. So that's going to be key as well. I doubt that they drew blood on that guy, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're still going to have to wait a couple weeks, apparently, before the results come in. They said something like 8 weeks. Joseph Scott Morgan, thank you so much for.
I mean, again, if they drew any type of blood from Jordan, like I said, this would be a completely different conversation. They'd be investigating Jordan like crazy. We see that this was in your system. Where'd you get the stuff? Who hooked you up? And of course, now that we know that there was a fifth person there, was Alex the one that provided? Or did you provide it yourself? Or was it one of the three guys that had it themselves as well? Can you give us that? Can you tell us that story? Can you give us some information on that? That's precisely what I'd be looking into. And yes, they should have tested him. He should have gotten a drug test for sure, but it never happened. Allegedly, it never happened. But I know for sure, if this was tainted party favors, they really need to find out where they got the stuff from, where they got it, who gave it to them, and all that. That's an important piece as well. Okay. Koos, thank you so much for the $1. I really do appreciate the $1 super sticker. Thank you so much. Dawn F, thank you so much for the 5. I'm still laughing over not trying to do curls while sobbing to while sobbing to Adele's music. Yes, we had a conversation about noise canceling headphones, okay? And yeah, I put headphones on, noise canceling headphones when I go work out because I don't want to hear Adele when I'm working out. I'm sorry. In some of these gyms, they play Adele, you know, or they're playing like emotional, sad music. I'm not trying to cry on my dumbbells while I'm trying to get my curls on, okay? Or while I'm getting my swole on. I'm sorry, no. But yes, thanks so much for that throwback. LA, welcome to being a member. Thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to the family. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Woman of Steel, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to the family. And just like those two, please consider becoming a member of the family by simply hitting that join button down below. Become a member, please, and thank you. Okay. You know, I mean, the tree is gone, but you know, these lights don't pay themselves, you know? All right. And of course, Liz, thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you so very much. ASAP, nothing's wrong with Adele. Let me just tell you that. Ain't nothing wrong with Adele. There's just a time and place for everything. And I just like, if I'm trying to do a PR in a bench press, I don't need hello from the outside. I don't need that in the background while I'm trying to, you know what I mean? I'm sorry. No. It's okay. Just saying. Love me some Adele. Who doesn't love Adele? Okay. But there's a time and place for everything, baby. All right. I don't need the sadness when I'm trying to pick things up and put them down. Okay? That's all I'm saying. All right. But what are you guys' thoughts on everything that we've seen and heard today? One of the pieces that obviously I found to be extremely crucial is the fact that David was sitting up in a lawn chair. Now, I know for some of y'all, it might be like, that ain't nothing. That don't mean nothing. And that's fine. If that's nothing to you, then that's nothing to you. But that tells me something different. It tells me two different things. There's a possibility that they went outside, they had a bad reaction, David sat down, and that was his reaction. He's just slumped into the chair and he passed away or passed out in the chair. He managed to get himself into the chair somehow. He was not dragged out there or anything of that sort. Unless Jordan is the type that does a lot of CrossFit, but he don't look like the type either. Okay. He got a dad bod like a mug. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying he doesn't look like the type who's going to carry David Harrington's remains, okay, or dead weight, and then prop him up onto a chair. I just don't see that possible. Okay. And then also move the other two bodies. My thoughts are they were outside, they were alive, something bad happened, and they all passed out in their respective places where they were found. Okay. The other part of this is the fact that you can miss me with the nonsense, Jordan, because there's no way you didn't at least see a man covered in snow, possibly covered in a new sheet of snow, sitting slumped over in your lawn chair on your patio, which is right next to big ass sliding glass windows and big ass windows to begin with as well. I'm going to show you guys this photo again, okay? Because to me, it's absolute BS. Sorry, not sorry. We just got to take a look at this. This is the patio. Let me blow this up for you guys. This is the patio. Okay? So you're telling me, let me back it up a little bit, okay? Huge window, huge window, huge window. This is where the kitchen is. All right? Kitchen, and then if I remember the layout of the inside of the house, okay? If you see my mouse right here, this is where the his living room is as well. This is the patio. So he had a lawn chair on the patio. You're telling me he didn't see nobody sitting in the patio? Not once. That's a very small patio, by the way. But very big, huge windows in multiple angles. So he did not once look outside, not once, just to see if there was freshly fallen snow. I don't know about you guys, but I love to see freshly fallen snow, especially when it coats everything. It's a gorgeous sight. Especially I love seeing it at night. That's just me. I just love how the street lights can like bounce off the snow and just light up the area, right? Or how the moon will hit it and it just looks gorgeous, right? I love seeing that kind of stuff before it turns into just brown, black, nasty soot snow, okay? But that freshly fallen snow before everyone gets out and starts driving their trucks and their cars and mucking it all up, it's beautiful. You're telling me he didn't go out and look out the window just to see how much it fell, how much snow fell? How much snow accumulated? Even opening the blinds just to see the snow fall? Again, it just doesn't. You know? Dominique, DMX, oh my Lord. What do you want from, yep. Yeah, like I said, I want that kind of vibe, okay? All right? About 3 Kims. You know what I'm saying? I need that, all right? I need that. I need that kind of loud, more aggressive than that, okay? Because, don't get me wrong, great song, okay? But yeah. But still, you see the patio itself, so it's very close to the windows, okay? So if he was sitting anywhere that was within, even if he was sitting even if the patio chair was sitting even if the lawn chair was sitting like right here in between these windows, you could still walk by this window here and see, wait a second, is that a person's leg? Over here, the same thing. Even over here, most importantly, right here, you get a full shot of everything. A full shot of everything, the whole patio from this angle. If somebody's sitting in this patio, man, that's a huge, this shot, like this view, this sliding glass door gives you a huge view of the main like of the whole patio. And you're telling me you're not seeing that? And yes, there's the doggy door. So it is possible that the dogs would just go out at their leisure when they want to, right? But at the same time, true. Goma, okay, said, hey, doggy door is large enough for a person to come in from the cold. That is possible unless it has a locked thing. Like, if you could lock it from the inside, that's a possibility. But also, you'd have to be, some of the guys are pretty big. So I don't think that they're, just big guys. I just don't know if I don't know if all of them could crawl through the doggy door. But yes, if it was a situation where they were like in dire need of getting inside the house and it's freezing like crazy and they're locked out, yes, I'd be kicking in that doggy door and trying to squeeze through. I'd figure something out. And let's not forget, let's look over here. See the fence? If the fence door was locked from the outside and they couldn't get out through the door, they could still hop over this fence. See? They could still put their feet on here, grab the top, hop, then hurl themselves over. Yes, easily could be climbed. Easily. Okay? So, when we hear about one of the men being found in a lawn chair on the patio, it does paint a very specific picture. But it also says there is no way that Jordan did not see these guys or did not see at least David on the patio. For him to sit here and say that he didn't see anything, now when we're hearing more information, now we're getting more shocking details, there's a lot more pushback coming from the general public now, because there's no way. There is no way this man didn't see at least David sitting upright in a lawn chair on the patio. It's really, really sad, guys. And of course, there is, the rumors, because they haven't reported that yet, about the cell phones and the wallets. We just heard through a family member's interview that that cell phones and wallets were not on the person, but there's no confirmation of that. There has not been any reports from reporters saying about that piece. So I don't know how much of that is true or how much of that is not true. But when they come out with that information, I'm sure we'll be getting down to the bottom of that for sure. But this is, like I said, it's just insane to me that there are people out here believing Jordan's timeline and Jordan's story. We have to look at everything. If there were more than just 5 people in that house that night, I'm hoping party goer number 6, number 7, number 8, number 9, or number 10 come out and speak. But all we know is that there was another person, the 5th person. He's still alive. He went home. He clearly, one thing is for sure, he didn't partake, because he was still contacting Jordan the next day when family were contacting him. So it wasn't like he was passed out for 48 hours because he took the same party favor. So that's something to think about as well. But those 2 men know exactly what went down. And I'm hoping whoever knows the full truth steps forward, mans up, takes accountability, and is transparent on what actually happened here. And I'm hoping it happens soon. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really does mean a lot. Seriously, it really does mean a lot. All right. So do me a favor before we head out. Oh, we made it to 1K. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. That really does mean a lot. But I'm going to ask you guys again. Hit that like button down below. Hit it. Crush it. Make it scream out your name. Okay. If you're watching on Facebook, hit that reaction button. That would be greatly appreciated. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Follow me on Facebook. Okay. Hit that follow button. And of course, follow me on Instagram and on TikTok, The Pascal Show, one word. Please go check those things out. That'll be greatly appreciated. All right. And we'll be finding out what happens here very soon. Okay. But I love you guys. Have a great one. Check out my merch page, pascalmerch.com. Go get you something nice and warm, because I know it's still cold out there in many corners of this country, and I know other corners of the world as well. So go get you something nice. I do international as well. Okay. I do mail international. So please go check it out. I'll be talking to you guys very soon. All right. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. See you guys soon. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.